U.S. Tort Liability Index ranks the states according to how good or how bad their tort liability system is. I got interested in the subject because it is vital to the whole idea of your business climate and how well your business climate is in any particular state. And I think Pacific Research Institute is uniquely situated to study something like this because it is very much interested in promoting policies that promote a vigorous business community in the states. The tort study is based on hard objective data. It doesn't have any of the subjective opinions of the authors worked into it at all. It's all based just on the numbers as they are. So it's a very rigorous data-driven ranking of the states. The study is broken up into roughly 3 parts. The first part ranks the states according to costs and risks. The second section of the study looks at tort rules and reforms on the books in the various states. So it looks at what have the states done in terms of legislation to try to rein in their tort costs and risks. And the last section of the study looks at the benefits of tort reform. So we looked at all of the academic scholarly literature that has examined the economic impact of tort reform. It impacts all of us whether we realize it or not. We all pay the price if our tort liability system in our state is performing poorly. For example, all of us pay about $2,000 per year in extra costs due to lawsuit abuse in this country. So if your state acts to rein in lawsuit abuse, as a result you're going to pay less in terms of prices, insurance premiums, you'll have more products on the shelves, more jobs available, more economic opportunities. So it really does translate into a better overall job climate and environment to start businesses and operate businesses. It turns out that Alaska and Hawaii come in 1 and 2, and at the bottom of the barrel is New York and New Jersey and Pennsylvania, and our state here in California comes in 41st. I think one of the key things that you can find from this study is that states vary a great deal in terms of the amount of tort reform that they've done. And also that there's a whole menu of options that states can use to rein in their tort costs. We track 29 different variables that states have used, some more than others, to try to rein in tort costs and tort litigation risks. So I think the readers will find out that a lot of states have done a great deal of tort reform, but many states have done nothing, and as a result the costs really differ a great deal between the states. I think there's basically 3 groups that could find this study very useful. One is legislators, of course, in the various states that can use it to see, is their state competitive in their tort climate or not, and if not, where are they least competitive, and which tort reforms do they need to make the difference. So legislators could find it very useful. I think members of the media, of course, can find it useful to see where their state does well and where changes need to be made, and what is the business community's reaction to this study. And then third, I think, are members of the business community, members of the public, people that are possibly lobbyists that want to make change in the state, opinion leaders, talk radio hosts, that sort of thing, that can use it just to start a discussion, start a dialogue in their state about what is tort liability, how does it impact your everyday life, where does your state rank, and how does it do. So it could be used at that level as well. Well, one huge benefit that we've seen across states that have enacted tort reform is a better job climate. So you get more employment and more workers working in the state that have tort reform. For example, if California were to pass just one additional tort reform, it would generate more than 141,000 new jobs. New York, if it passed one additional tort reform, would generate more than 87,000 new jobs in the state. Yeah, California, for example, has a really good medical liability law in the state called MICRA, and it was passed in 1975. And as a result, medical liability costs in California are much lower than in other states like New York or Pennsylvania, and as a result, doctors want to practice here. It turns out that overall, if you look across all 50 states, the states that have caps on damage awards for medical malpractice lawsuits have 12% more doctors per capita than states that don't. So if you have a much better, more fair and reasonable tort liability system for physicians, you see greater physicians practicing in that state. As a result, you have more access to physicians and healthcare in your state. So it really does translate into a better healthcare system overall. Well, if you're not paying extra costs for tort liability insurance, you can use that money, for example, to invest in research and development, or you can use it for increasing healthcare benefits for your employees, or you can use it to introduce new products onto the shelves. So the money that you're not spending on tort liability costs can then be transferred over to more productive uses within the business. McKinsey and Company recently did a survey, and they found that the tort liability climate is the second most important factor that businesses look to when deciding where to open a new plant, relocate to, expand operations. So it's vital to whether or not you expand overall as an economy. In this edition, we were happy to partner with the Manufacturers Alliance in Washington, D.C. to help market the study across the United States and to get the word out.